Thank you for listening to the South Dakota Network, a service of South Dakota Public Broadcasting. Links to live events and their archives are available at sd.net.
Chairman, it is 9 o'clock. Commissioner Valley said he was going to call in, but has not called in yet. So if I get a beep, do you mind if I ask?
Sure.
You are welcome to start the meeting whenever you'd like.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order Thursday, August 13th, South Dakota DOT Department of Transportation Commission. Carrie, would you please call the roll?
Chris Frick?
Here.
Lynn Jensen is not joining. Jeff Karam is not joining. Larry Nelson?
Here.
Don Roby?
Here.
Ron Rosenboom?
Here.
Rick Valerie?
Here.
Mike Valley?
Here.
Austin Simons?
Here.
You
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next, considerations for conflicts of interest. Is there any commissioners that wish to declare a conflict of interest? Okay, that was easy. Hearing none, we will move on. Approval of the July 23rd, 2025 meeting minutes. The chair would entertain a motion.
Roby moves approval.
We have Roby for approval. And Rosenboom will second. Any comments or questions?
You do mean the
Okay, we have a
2026
motion.
minutes, correct?
Correct. You're right. Sorry.
Oh, all good.
Good correction. We do have a motion and a second. Carrie, would you please call the roll?
Frick?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Roby?
Aye.
Rosenboom?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
Valley?
Aye.
Simons?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Carla Engel, Legal Counsel. Carla, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Carla Engel, Office of Legal Counsel. Today, I'm requesting that the commission set a hearing for September 22nd, 2026 for consideration of amendments to the following administrative rules. 70-010201, a Minnehaha County Speed Zone Rule, 70-010239, Jackson County Speed Zone Rule, 70-010259, Sully County Speed Zone Rule, and then amendments to Article 70-07, specifically 70-070101 definitions, 70-070409 reasons for debarment, 70-0704 10.02 hearing request, and 70-070415 term of debarment. The rules in Article 70-07 deal with pre-qualification. In addition to non-substantive changes to the rules involving formatting, the proposed changes can be summarized as follows. The Minnehaha County Speed Zone Rule amendments involve changes to the speed limit on State Trunk Highway 115 and repeal or modification to other speed limits based on jurisdictional transfers. The Jackson County Speed Zone Rule amendments involve proposed changes to the speed limit on South Dakota Highway 248 in and around Kadoka. The Sully County Speed Zone Rule amendments would change the speed limit on US Highway 83 in and near Oneida. In addition, speed limits are proposed for repeal for roadways that are not under the jurisdiction of the department. And finally, the amendments to Article 70-07 dealing with pre-qualification to bid will revise when references to the terms business and person are used in the rules. Again, Mr. Chairman, I'm seeking a motion to set a hearing on these administrative rules for September 22nd, 2026.
Okay, thank you, Carla. The chair would entertain a motion.
Valley will so move.
Okay, we have a first from Valley. We hear a second.
Prickle second.
Okay, we have a first and second. Carrie, for approval, Carrie, would you please call the roll?
Frick,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Roby,
Aye.
Rosenboom,
Aye.
Valerie,
Aye.
Valley,
Aye.
Simons.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public input. Is there anybody on the line or somebody in the room that wishes to address the commission? If so, please state your name and you will be recognized. Okay, hearing none, we will move on to Mike Beam, Director of Planning and Engineering.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Just one item for your consideration. That's a consideration of bids. Before we get going with Mr. Wisegram, I would like to turn it over to Secretary Junt for some overview of the consideration of bids. So Secretary Junt, if you're on.
Good morning.
Okay,
Can you
thank
hear
you.
me okay?
Yep.
All right. So as you know, and we've talked about this project for a number of years now, it is, if you award this project, it will be the largest project the DOT has ever led. And so based on the amount of funding that we're looking at, I really wanted to talk about our funding and where we're at with that, and as overall, from an overall aspect. Because as you know, as a Transportation Commission, you are responsible for construction spending, and with that, I think it's important that you know where things are at today. And again, I've heard this from a few of you commissioners before: is do we have the money, and can we afford the project? So, as we've discussed, the department has been planning for this project for quite a few years, not only from a project delivery standpoint, but also from a financial aspect. And because we knew that if we truly only relied on our normal formula funds to finance the structure replacement, we would create a strain on the rest of our system. And we have worked very long and hard to get that system up to the place where it is today. Based on that, for the past couple of years, we have not only proactively but very aggressively gone after discretionary grant funding. And as we talked about here in the past 6 months, we were successful in getting a couple of those grants. One was a $65 million competitive highway bridge grant, specifically for this project, as well as a $25 million congressional directed spending grant for this project. And those went through Senator Thune and Rounds, and we truly thank them for all of their work and effort on that. In addition, we are still awaiting the news regarding our submission of a bridge investment grant, and that's another grant through the federal highway, but it has not been announced yet through USD, so we're waiting for those announcements. As well as we've gone after and will continue to go after other discretionary federal funding grants in those other federal pots or categories that are available to us as well as to the rest of the nation. All of these discretionary grants truly help us from a supplemental standpoint of our formula funding. So these funds that I've just talked about are above and beyond what our formula funds are. And these grants that we've discussed, and I think it was the last meeting I referred that we just received a $24 million grant for the South Veterans Parkway. Again, that supplement, that will help overall from where we're at today. In the last couple of years, from about 2024 until now, we received over $100 million in these discretionary grants. So again, this has truly helped us, not only as we've looked at eventually one day letting this project, but also with the overall system and ensuring that we have enough dollars to be able to move forward those projects in our SIP. The other thing with this project is that the construction of it will take multiple years, and Sam will get into that a little bit later. But as you know, the funding here is a reimbursement aspect. As the project moves along and as the work is done, we only pay for that work that is physically completed and acceptable to the department. So with that, the overall cost of this project will be stretched out over a couple of years, just looking at typically on a normal project for one construction season. So to answer the first question, do we have the money to afford this project, we would answer the question as a positive yes. Regarding the second question, can we afford the project? So I think some of the basis or aspects that I just talked about help with that. But we also need to look at what's in the horizon here relative to the next Surface Transportation Highway Bill. As you know, it expires here this September. And as I mentioned here a couple of months ago, the House T&I did pass their bill, but the Senate EPW bill has yet to file theirs. So just recently, knowing that both houses were not going to pass a long-term surface transportation bill before IJA expired, the Senate did pass this week, and I understand that House leadership was part of the discussion, an extension of both IJA that will get us through December 11th, as well as they passed an appropriations continuing resolution to fund the federal government, including the highway funding that we're looking for. And with that, we believe the House will also pass that same legislation. So beyond this, I've stated this a number of times in the past, even though Congress has historically been late in getting some of these issues decided ahead of time, they have never failed to deliver and left us high and dry. And so we think that will be the case again this go-around. We believe that they eventually will pass a long-term appropriations bill as well as approving or passing, a long-term surface transportation bill as well as passing this year's appropriation bill. And that will then continue to fund our STIP that you're going to be looking at here later in this month for approval on that. So do we think we can afford the project? Yes, we believe that we can afford this project. So both of those answers in our minds would be yes. Now that's specific to this project. I do not feel as comfortable moving forward. Our next Missouri River Bridge is the Forest City Bridge up west of Gettysburg. We know that project is even more expensive than this project. We have started the design and as far as the alignments and all that, we still haven't made those decisions, so we're still not ready for that project it's not project ready, right? As well as we've talked a number of times, the funding is not there for that project nor the other projects in the future. But we will cross that bridge, pun intended, here in the next few years, both with the governor and the legislators, and see where Congress ends up with that long-term bill. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will stand by for any questions regarding the funding aspect of this project.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Any questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Chair,
Okay,
Mike
here.
Valley.
Sure, go ahead.
Just to clarify, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but when we do these extensions and for the future for a short period of time, does that include the discretionary funds and like the congressional fund and the one that we're still waiting on to hear? Do those things are they still funded, or do you have to have it all done for a long time, for the whole year?
Mr. Chair, I can answer that question. So what the extension did is it did, in essence, provide the ability for those programs to continue on, except for any of those categories that they call Division J. And a couple of those is the NEVI program, the National Electric Vehicle Charging Program. That program is not moving forward. And again, it's just for this duration. Until they get the full bills passed relative to that, we're not quite sure exactly what will happen with some of these discretionary grants, as well as those in Division J. But at this point in time, those that we're truly counting on in the formula side are extended.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the Secretary?
Rosenboom has one.
Sure, go ahead.
With all of the federal monies and the monies you just discussed, this is for the Secretary, does it appear that there are no timing issues? I know a lot of times grants will have, or federal money will have time issues before it becomes old money, I guess. Anyway, is there a timing issue once that it's approved?
Well, the timing issue is really just to get that project under agreement with Federal Highway. And at this point in time, from the current ones that we're looking at, we don't see or anticipate any long duration that will limit us as far as being able to receive those funds and use them based on the time the construction will take place and what those dollars might look like for this fiscal year.
Thanks. I didn't do a very good job asking the question, but that is the answer I was looking for.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, we'll go back to Mike Beam or Sam.
Go ahead, Sam.
All right, thanks, Mike. Yeah, Sam Weisgrant with the Office of Project Development, here to present the bid result and recommendation for the August 5th bid opening. The August 5th bid opening consisted of two contracts that were bid in combination. 8 bids were received for these two contracts. As we've been discussing, Project 1 was, of course, the South Dakota 44 bridge crossing the Missouri River between Platte and Winter. Before we get into the actual recommendation, we'll provide some brief background on the project. First off, the existing bridge was constructed back in the early 1960s and opened to traffic in 1966. Today, we've seen deterioration, growing maintenance, and some longer-term concerns that makes it towards the end of its useful life, and that's why replacement is necessary at this time. The new structure is approximately 5,770 foot long. It'll be constructed just to the north of the existing alignment, approximately 150 to 200 foot to the north. That's being done to, of course, mainly to maintain traffic throughout throughout construction. The Missouri River at this location reaches water depths of roughly 80 foot. The substructure for this new structure includes 19, what we'll call it 19 pier units, each consisting of 12-foot diameter drilled shafts. The drilled shafts extend approximately 200 foot deep in the deepest locations, passing through, the up to 80 foot of water, 100 foot of the riverbed material, and then go into the chalk formation roughly 30 foot. The superstructure is a steel girder superstructure with the average span length is around 300 foot. And then of course has a concrete deck that's provides us a 36-foot overall width to accommodate 2 lanes of traffic. As far as if the project's awarded, construction is anticipated to begin this fall. The substantial completion date for the project is June of 2030, so that's when the bridge would need to be open to traffic. And then the overall completion date is November of 2031, so about a year and a half to get the other bridge, the existing bridge removed. As far as the bidding process, the bid opening, of course, included the Platte Winter Bridge structure, and it also included a Douglas County box culvert. The projects were put together as a combination bid package in order to meet the requirements of the competitive Highway Bridge Program grant criteria, which includes bundling multiple bridge projects to demonstrate cost savings and enhance construction efficiency. The projects were advertised back on June 5th. We did hold a pre-bid meeting that took place in July, and we had on-site meetings as well with interested contracting parties. The project during the advertisement period, the project did generate strong interest with numerous questions and inquiries coming from prospective bidders. And the department ultimately received competitive bids for both projects. Should be known that during development of the engineer's estimate, the department did contract with 2 consulting firms to perform independent cost estimates focused on the major bridge components of the Platte Winter Bridge. These independent reviews specifically evaluated the drilled shaft construction, the steel girder fabrication, and other more specialty items with the large river crossing. The independent estimates provided validation of our recommendation today and did help us with refining our engineer's estimate and confirming anticipated cost ranges for the work involved. At this point, we have completed our review of the bids for the August 5th bid opening and offer the following recommendation for project 1 and 2. Ames Construction was the ASCHEC low combination bidder of 4 bids for these projects. Their bid was $289,990,000, which is $39,249,000, or 15.7% above the engineer's estimate of $250,741,000. Their bid for project 2 was $652,125, which is $64,489, or 9% below the engineer's estimate of $716,614. Although the bid was higher than anticipated, we feel the pricing is reflective of some of the complexity of constructing the drilled shafts in the high water environment, just the overall length of the structure, special equipment needs, and overall market conditions. The remote location of the project further contributes to cost impacts due to limited nearby resources, some of the increased logistical challenges associated with that, and then of course substantial mobilization efforts required to support the work and bring these resources to the site. Considering the scale of the project and some of the challenges involved, and then considering the competitive nature of the bids received, we are recommending approval of the award of projects 1 and 2.
Okay, the recommendation is for approval. I think before we look for a motion, is there any questions or comments from any of the commissioners?
Commissioner Roby has a question.
Sure, go ahead, Commissioner Roby.
First of all, Joel, thank you for your lead-in comments. Those were some of the things that are on our minds, so that was very helpful, and we have been talking about this for a while. I just wanted to maybe have Sam respond to, a project like this, as complicated as it is, we're certain to find possibly a surprise or two along the way. Would you just maybe comment of how the bidding process allows for that? And, we've thought that through in anticipation of those things possibly happening.
Mr. Chairman, maybe I can jump in. This is Mike Beam, and Sam and others may be able to help me on that. But as we take a look at putting any sort of contract together, whether it's a project such as this magnitude or a mill and overlay project, a component of that is the risk associated with delivery of the project. And that's considered in development of the plan set to reduce the risk to the contractor and also reduce risk to the department. And I think what your question was is, as a bid is developed, are there consideration for things that could change in there? And that's part of what the contractor needs to take a look at associated with the construction plan set that's been developed by the department. But again, that plan set is intended to, again, reduce risk to the department and, of course, reduce risk to the contractor as well in an effort to ensure we get the lowest possible cost. We do have a process that comes into play. I'm sure you're aware of it. Ryan Johnson or Director Smith provide that information each month, which would be our construction change orders. And that change order rate, I think nationally we rank towards the top of the lowest amount of change orders, which is a good thing. Maybe it's the lowest for the lowest percentage. Again, depends upon how you look at it, but I think we've ranged in about that 2% range, which again is one of the lowest change order rates in the nation. So we're awful proud of that. We think, again, with this project, we put a good plan set out there and a good approach. It is a complex project, which again is why we've done the work and the diligence we have to date. But again, I think as we put this project forward, we're anticipating it to move forward and hopefully have low change orders. Of course, you can't tell exactly what's going to happen, but there are provisions in our contract and our spec book to work our way through that. Hopefully that answered your question, Commissioner Roby.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, Mike Valley.
Go ahead, Commissioner Valley.
Now that we're nearly done with the Fort Pierre Bridge, could you tell us what the overruns there? Do you have recall, or could you tell us if it's within like that 2%, or do we find on projects this large where it's a bridge, a huge bridge, not just a one over a bypass?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, again, this is Mike Beam, Director of Planning and Engineering. I'm not asked Ryan Johnson if he has those numbers available. Ryan, I don't know, do you know what the percentage is for Fort Pierre right now?
Yeah, this is Ryan Johnson. Right now, to date, I just looked at the CCOs and the pay estimate this morning, and we're running a total of just under 1% for increase.
And again, to your maybe question, Commissioner Valley, I make no guarantees that it'll be at 1%. Just want to be clear on that. But again, we do all the engineering work. We do the design. And of course, this project, as Secretary John has mentioned, has been around for, I want to say we've been working heavily on it for the better part of 8 to 10 years. So we've got a lot of people that are heavily committed in this, and we feel good, put a good plan set forward, and we're hopeful that we're going to see 0.5% or less, but no guarantees.
All right, thank you, and I really appreciate knowing that helps us. You know, when it says it's 15% over, you go, well, we always work within that 10%, 15. But when that 15% is about $40 million, it makes you just want to think here a little bit. So I really appreciate knowing that we're at this point, and we're nearing the completion of that we're in that just under 1% off. So I thank you very much.
Okay, any other commissioners? Okay, hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion.
Valley will so move that we accept this bid.
Roby seconds.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Carrie, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Chairman, Carla Engel, Chief Legal Counsel.
Go ahead, Carla. Yep.
The appropriate process would be to call for discussion before calling for the vote.
Okay. I guess, okay, we'll go for discussion. Is there any discussion on the bid topic? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to roll call.
Frick,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Roby,
Aye.
Rosenboom,
Aye.
Valerie,
Aye.
Valley,
Aye.
Simons.
Aye. Motion carries. Just want to say thank you to Mike and Sam and Secretary Junt. That's a pretty big project. We know there's a lot of work involved, and appreciate all the due diligence by the commissioners. Is there anything else? Okay, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the South Dakota Network, a service of SDPB. Download the SDNet app to your mobile device and listen wherever you are. Thank you for listening to the South Dakota Network, a service of South Dakota Public Broadcasting. Links to live events and their archives are available at sd.net.